Hi guys, it's Keri from Keri'd from Fleece. I'm here to show you how to do Judy's Magic Cast On. If you're working on the mystery knit along pattern for 2022, for the spring, mystery spring knit along pattern 2022, the first step is to do Judy's Magic Cast On. And we're going to cast on 12 stitches using Judy's Magic Cast On. So it's kind of like a long tail cast on. You're going to hold your needles, your two needles. I have my two, they're a little warped. They're US 1, 2.25 millimeter needles. And this is my color, contrast color 1 that I'm using for my mystery knit along. It's kind of like a long tail cast on, so you want to leave some length at the end. You don't have to be a lot because it's only 10 stitches. And you just start by putting the yarn under, hold the two needles on top of each other like this. You put the yarn between the needles, just like this. Okay? And then you're going to bring your thumb stitches up, or your thumb yarn up and around only the top needle. And in between the two needles. So now you have 2 stitches, 1, 2. And then you're going to do the same thing with the top, with the index finger yarn. Bring it down around the bottom needle and between the needles. So now you have 2 on the bottom, 1 on the top. Let's do that again. With the thumb, we come up around the top needle and between the 2 needles. And then with the finger, we go down and around the bottom needle and between the 2 needles. And then you keep doing that. You're going to have 6 stitches on each needle when you get your 12 stitches cast on.
Dad? Let's have lunch, Daddy.
Okay, there. It's as simple as that. You have 6 stitches on the top needle, 6 stitches on the bottom needle. Now you're ready to start knitting. So to start knitting, you take your tail. You have to make sure that your tail is going over your working yarn. Okay, so that you're not going to lose the stitch off, it's not just going to disappear. So we have the working yarn coming from the bottom needle. You can see it's coming from the bottom needle. I have my tail going over top. I'm going to hold that with my fingers. And then you just start knitting like you normally would. You just start into the first stitch. The pattern says you add stitch markers. You add those wherever the pattern says to add the stitch markers. But otherwise you just knit as you would, and you're going to go to the end of that needle. So we'll go to the end of this one. I don't have my stitch markers here for the video, but this is where you would add the stitch marker. It can be a little fiddly on the first row. Okay, got 2. My needles are too long, I keep going out of frame. Okay, now I'm at the end of the first needle. And then I just turn my work all the way around. And you do the same thing across the second needle. Except this time I go into the back loop of the stitches. So, keeps them from twisting quite as much from that cast on. So then we knit all the way to the end of the second needle, and you will have your markers in here that it says to put in. There are 4 markers that the pattern says to add. So and that's how you do Judy's Magic Cast On and knit the first row. And then if it's easier for you to work with 4 needles holding your stitches, you can separate these into 4, 3 on each needle. I usually, after the first row, I'll have I'll keep 6 on my first needle, and then I'll have 3 and 3 on the needle 2 and needle 3. But that's how you do Judy's Magic Cast On. Thanks for watching.